In the last video, we looked at Revelation chapter 6, and we saw that the seven seals represent all the major happenings in the history of mankind, starting from the first seal, which is the Catholicism, which happened right after the time of Apostle John, and he went on to the second seal, which is communism, and then capitalism, and then we are now living in the time of fourth seal, which is Islam. And after this fourth seal, there will come the Great Tribulation in the fifth seal. And then after that, in the sixth seal, the great cosmic disturbances happen, in which all the stars fall, the sun being darkened, and at the time all the kings of the earth will tremble behind the rocks because of the impending return of Jesus. And in the chapter 7, we should see the return of Jesus and the rapture. And what we see in the chapter 7 is all the sealings of God's servants, and we see the children of Israel being sealed first. And what are these sealings for? The sealings are to mark all the people who are to be raptured. Now, after the rapture, there will be God's judgment, and in that judgment, God will send all the fiery judgments, so this land and the sea and the trees will be burnt and will be harmed. That's why in the verse 3 it says, "Do not harm the earth, the sea, or the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God on their foreheads." And I heard the number of those who were sealed, 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. So we see here the angels sealing all the people of Israel first, to mark all the saints to be raptured before God sends His judgment to harm the land and the sea and the trees. Now, a lot of people are perplexed about this number, but there's no need to be really concerned about this number, because the Bible clearly states that this number is for the tribes of Israel. So God is just grouping the people of Israel and all the Gentiles separately. So God will seal all the people of Israel first, and then He will seal the Gentiles. But I'm not sure exactly 144,000 people in Israel will be sealed. Maybe that number has some significance or other meaning, but we don't have to be too concerned about that number, because that number is for Israel only. So God will seal the people of Israel first to be raptured, and then verse 9, we see the great multitude from all the tribes of the world. These are Gentiles. And who are they? They are those who come out of the Great Tribulation, it says here. Verse 14, "So you know, these are the ones who come out of the Great Tribulation. After the Great Tribulation, there will be the first resurrection, because dead people will arise first, and then they will be taken up to meet Jesus, and then the rapture will happen, where all the people living will be taken up in a rapture." So in the first resurrection after the Great Tribulation, all the martyrs who were killed in the Great Tribulation, they will be resurrected, and they will be taken up out of the graves, and they will be pulled toward the Lord on the cloud. And then after that, all the people who are still alive, they will be taken up in a rapture to meet the Lord in the air. So these are the people who take part in that first resurrection and the rapture after the Great Tribulation. That's why they are standing in front of the throne of God here. Verse 15, "Therefore they are before the throne of God, and serve Him day and night in His temple." So because they have been raptured or resurrected after the Great Tribulation, they are already in heaven before the throne of God, and they are serving Him day and night already here. And because they have been raptured, they already have the incorruptible body. It says here, they shall neither hunger anymore nor thirst anymore. The sun shall not strike them nor any heat. So they already have this body which cannot be harmed by the heat or by the sun. And they will no longer have any hunger. And God will wipe away every tear from their eyes. So they have been raptured, and then they are in the presence of God in the heaven. So before this verse 9, which talks about great multitude from all over the world who have been raptured, there should have been a description about the return of Jesus and the rapture. But for God's purpose, that incredible scene of all the people being resurrected out of graves and people flying like birds toward the sky to meet Jesus, those scenes are omitted in the chapter 7 for God's purpose, because that scene of the return of Jesus and the rapture have been omitted. A lot of people have missed timing of the rapture. So they have these false doctrines about the timing of rapture. So they believe there's a post-tribulation rapture, because God needs those people to work inside of the Great Tribulation. So God omitted this sin of rapture so that they don't believe in the rapture taking place before the judgment of God. So they don't see any point of evacuating before the Great Tribulation comes. If you hear all the post-tribulation rapture people, they are all eager to work inside the Great Tribulation. So return of Jesus and the rapture has been omitted in chapter 7. And we saw all the sealings and the raptured people in heaven in chapter 7. And in chapter 8 we should see God's judgment happening. And in chapter 8 we will see the seventh seal being opened, which is God's judgment, and then the 7 trumpets of plagues will fall upon the earth. And we're going to continue the next video to look at chapter 8 and examine all the God's judgment.